welcome back. Post-Labor Day sprint.
Post-Labor Day sprint.
Here we are. It's the absolute best time of the year.
Of course.
Fall, which means college football is back. And we are so back, baby. I just want to kick us right off playing this clip. It is heartwarming. And as a Texas fan,
Oh no.
I'm just saying, it's an Oklahoma boy stepping up to the plate and really doing right by his teammates. So just listen in.
I remember talking to CeeLo saying I wanted to send him the walk-ons. I remember Chris Hemmings did that, a few months ago, and I was really moved by that. And so, obviously there's days where you feel like your hard work doesn't get seen, doesn't get noticed, but it really does here at Oklahoma. And every single day we appreciate you guys. This team would be nothing without you guys. I mean that from the bottom of my heart. I truly do mean that. And I feel like I have a really good connection with all you guys, and I just know how much you guys put into this program, and sometimes you think it's not seen, but it is. And so with that being said, I want to donate some of my NIL earnings to you guys, so you guys can have a little something else after the meetings. This will be in your lockers. So
Was that your pep talk for us today?
That was my pep talk for us today. So that was Oklahoma linebacker Danny Stutzman. He gave $50,000 of his NIL money to 18 walk-ons at Oklahoma, which is really awesome. And, part of what is interesting about this college football season for anybody who cares, hi, it's me, I think this is going to be the first year really that we see the NIL become a really big thing.
Crystal, what is NIL?
Name, image, and likeness.
Okay, thank you.
Right. So NIL is newer to NCAA sports, and essentially players can be paid and take endorsements for obscene amounts of money. And this is kind of throwing a wrench in college football and football in general. But all that to say, hats off to this Oklahoma linebacker for sharing some of his NIL money with 18 walk-ons for the Oklahoma program. I still expect that we will beat them in the Red River Showdown.
But at least they're nice.
When we say we, you're referring
Texas, baby. Let's go. Which, speaking of Texas, completely obliterated Colorado State last weekend, 52-0. Wasn't much of a game, but, still tuned in, still had fun watching. Let's see. My entire X feed has completely shifted from politics to college football.
That really shows who you follow.
Which means it's that time of year. And it's also, in addition to the NIL situation, this is the first year we'll have a 12-team playoff, which is going to be interesting. They added some teams added teams to the playoff. Really the only shoe-in, there's not really any shoe-ins, but I'd say the only school that is pretty much guaranteed to go is Georgia.
Yeah.
So
we don't like Georgia, Virginia.
Georgia's my team, guys. I'm a horrible fan, but they are my team.
I think my dad's gonna unsubscribe to this. He's a Georgia Tech fan.
That's so funny.
I mean, Georgia Bulldogs.
I'm convinced that by the end of this college football season, I'll make a fan out of Virginia.
Sure.
I mean, I think I probably need a better way to watch it because I don't have cable and I don't subscribe to what's the platform that's Hulu that streams the games? Who
Honestly,
streams the
it's all of them.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I have YouTube TV. Yeah. I have Hulu.
Guys, I purged all my subscriptions 2 months ago.
Wow.
Good for you.
As I wasn't really using them except on rare occasions. Every now and then it's inconvenient, but so far I have not missed them. And I was like, I'm going to save myself $100 every month. And I'm got rid of all of them. So now I'm just bumming off my dad's Amazon account.
We all do that.
As we should.
Let's be real. My YouTube TV is
Gen Z do.
No, but we should do a watch party or something. I mean, honestly, I split my screen. I have the YouTube TV, so you can split your screen
4
between.
games at a time.
I was watching
Chef's
Purdue
kiss.
against Indiana, the small school in Indiana. I watched Penn State and Georgia Tech versus West Virginia, which was, I think, one of the more competitive games this past weekend.
Yeah.
It was very stressful, but pulled it out. So, yeah, you just got to get a split screen, man.
Okay, I need to be invested. All right, we're gonna do a watch
Saturdays
We'll
in
do
the
a watch
fall.
party.
We're gonna
Saturdays
do
in
it.
the fall.
I'll put it on the calendar.
It sounds so cute.
Yeah. So I saw this image on Twitter, speaking of X, of the Michigan Stadium. And the caption was this, and it's just like chef's kiss. It completely, it's so spot on. It said, the European mind cannot comprehend that the largest European soccer stadium would be the 9th largest American college football stadium.
That's insane.
That is wild.
Wild.
Very wild.
Bigger,
Wow.
better.
Especially when you think about how dedicated Europeans are to soccer, or I guess sometimes
Football?
they call it football. That is wild.
Yeah.
Like, we just go above and beyond.
Which
with football.
speaking of soccer, total caveat here, I watched the Hope Solo documentary last night.
Yeah.
That just came
Is
out.
it good?
Really wild, really interesting.
Okay.
It did not make me like her anymore.
I'll add it to the list.
But definitely recommend. We can put a little pin in that, talk about that later.
I almost watched that last night, and I remember the drama when it was unfolding during the World Cup. Like,
Okay,
I
yes,
remember
well,
watching.
this is your deal.
This is like my life, because I
Soccer.
used to love her. Haven't seen the documentary. I'm sure that it's slanted. It's a
interesting.
little weird.
Yeah.
Gonna have to check it out and get back to you.
I was mostly annoyed, but as a soccer
She's a little
girly, I'd
diva.
be really curious what your take is on the.
I mean,
on
you
the
can't
documentary.
hate someone that was really as good as her. Like, she's totally, it's almost like LeBron James, where like so many people don't like him, but like they have to respect how good he is. It's the same with Hope.
I mean, he's one of the greatest of all time, right?
Yeah.
You got to respect the game, but
Exactly.
I just kind of left like, yeah, I know a narcissist when I see one.
100%.
wow.
But here we are. Anyway, so we're going to get back to
Anyways.
American football. And speaking of seeing that Michigan image, Michigan went on to win last weekend despite not having Harbaugh or JJ McCarthy, since they have moved on to quote unquote bigger and better things. And that kind of leads me to this is kind of a bridge between us just opening this show and also like diving into tea time, because it gets a little dramatic.
It does. It does. Well, before we dive into tea time here on Problematic Women, we're not just all about football, though we do talk about football. Obviously, though, you can tell from my commentary that we're not just all about football here. It could be like, what is that girl doing on the show about football? Here on Problematic Women, we are conservative women. Problematic women, they don't necessarily fit the mold of what the left defines as a feminist. So we embrace that here on the show. We every single week, we're sorting through the headlines to find those stories that are of particular interest to conservative leaning or problematic women. And we bring you those stories in both a very digestible and fun and informative way.
You are not alone, but it certainly can feel that way sometimes. So make sure to share the love, drop us a review, share it with another problematic woman, and get the name out there.
All right, guys, tea time. We have to do this again.
Okay.
Oh, like the cute little tinkling
Yeah.
thing.
Cheers.
Here we go.
Oh my
Here we
gosh,
go.
please don't spill that on your laptop.
laptops. I just
Okay,
love that.
we're gonna
Okay.
do that
We
later.
were safe.
So left to right on your radio dial, I'm Crystal Bonham, Virginia, Alan, and Kristen Eichhammer. We're super excited to be here with y'all today. Thanks for tuning in. Let's jump right into this because, Kristen, I know that you watched this documentary after I forced you to.
She did. She did make me
Force. Sat you
Kicking
down.
and screaming.
I'm so glad I did, though. Yeah.
In my defense, you ran 7 miles while watching it. So
No, I was telling Crystal, I literally turned it on. I was like, I'm going to run 3 miles. And then I was on for like the whole time. It was insane. It was so good.
So this documentary about Connor Stallions is relevant to our conversation about college football because Michigan won the championship last year. And there was a ton of drama last season with their team. Their coach, Harbaugh, was suspended mid-season. They had been just dominating every single game they played. He was suspended because they were being investigated by the NCAA for sign stealing. So this new documentary that came out from Netflix, also, plug, not a sponsor, is all about Connor Stallion's story and this sign stealing drama.
And you had to define for me what sign stealing was yesterday because I was definitely picturing like signs that fans hold up in the crowd, and it's not that. So for anyone listening
honestly
or
sounds
watching
made
like
up.
me, just define what sign stealing is.
This is the beginning of Virginia's transformation into becoming a college
I
football team.
starts
promise
now.
I
We're
like football, guys. I just don't live in the weeds.
We're starting with the basics. So signs. So signs for defense, offense, obviously tell the players, what play they're going to run and what to expect
Things like,
on the field.
Yeah, like
Sure,
this.
like rock,
birds
paper,
flying.
scissors.
He like sneezed at one point. Like that was one of the signs.
Well, one of the things that I love about college football too is like some of the signs they're like these big physical signs with like Elmo on them or memes
Oh, that's
or something funny like
hilarious.
that. And so it just signals to the players, it's the
Run
coaches
this play.
Exactly.
And the point of the signs, so this season, I think it's different, but in the past, quarterbacks and linebackers, right, haven't had or headphones in their helmet.
Right.
It's changing, I think, as a result of this,
yes,
right?
Yes.
Did I
Okay.
shoot
So
the-
here's what happened. So Connor Stallions was a Marine, a lifelong Michigan fan. He knew from when he was a kid, one day he wanted to coach at the University of Michigan. Awesome. Great. So he becomes a Marine, does this whole thing. and figures out somehow, some way that he's like a wizard when it comes to signs and picking up signs, decoding them. He put this entire like elaborate thing together. The spreadsheets were
insane.
Like our friend Lauren would go to heaven seeing his spreadsheets. And turns out sign stealing is allowed in the NCAA with a caveat. It's like you can steal signs. You can watch as much game tape as you want and pick up signs and decode them, whatever. But if you basically advance a game and pay someone to go watch a game and they film it in real time, that's a no-no. And so I don't know what you took away from the documentary, Kristen. I didn't really get the sense that there was like really legitimate evidence that Connor Stallions was like furnishing people to go record in real time at games, which also doesn't really make sense to me because I'm like, if you can watch as much footage as you want or go to games and watch, why do you need to sit there in the stands and film when in real time you could watch it on TV or watch the playback?
Well, I think totally. And if anything, what I learned from this is how corrupt the NCAA is. Like, honestly, I have never felt more passionately about that. It was probably the lawyer in Austin. Stallion's lawyer was just like, if there's one thing you need to know about me, it's that I hate the NCAA. And I'm like, okay, let's go. That's when I started like running faster. And it's just hilarious. But yeah, to your point, I had no idea what type of black ops situation this is. Like, you know, you see coaches and they're like hitting their heads and there's like 4 of them in a line and only one of them is who the players are paying attention to. In some cases, I mean, I've been to Georgia Tech, Purdue, Penn State. I've been to a ton of games, a ton of bowl games with my family. And they have, you know, big signs with like 6 different memes. And the cool thing about it is it's like code cracking. And that's why the Marine background makes sense, because he's like cracking the code to figure out what play is going to be next. And after a while, it was almost like he taught the players to be fluent and they would start pointing up if it was going to be a pass or something. They had their own little language. And that just, you know, advanced Michigan throughout the season. And to your point, the head coach, he was, you know, suspended. Yeah. And yes, it was midseason, but it was right before they played Penn State, which, sorry,
the toughest part of their season.
Right. We are Penn State, but they crushed Penn State. Sorry, Trey. And then they played Maryland and they played Ohio State, which obviously, if anyone knows anything about the Ohio State University, it's that Michigan and Ohio State will literally burn cars and couches before they get along.
They're all in fans.
They are all in fans. But it was just, so I think I had no idea. That was my first takeaway. It's like this Black Op crazy situation with secret channels on Facebook. It's like a secret
society of sign stealers in the NCAA, and they all talk to each other. It's wild.
And then
like
the
underground community.
Yeah. It's insane.
What did you think of Brohio?
Oh, dude, I literally thought that was one of my friends that I used to work with that went to this Ohio. I literally thought that was him. I like texted him and was like, you're not into this weird sign stealing thing, right? And he's like, no.
This like weird underground like cult.
I thought it could be any fan, truly. Like that is what that man.
I just thought it was so funny. So Virginia, and for those of y'all, let me get you up to speed. So in this documentary, there's obviously the Ohio-Michigan rivalry is like
wild,
huge, wild. There's this guy who is wearing like a full-on balaclava, like mask, sunglasses, hat, like super like voice
distorted,
mask, distorted. Yeah. And he's like, for sure, Connor Stallions was stealing signs. It's just like the weirdest thing. They film him in a dark room and he's all like on his computer, like on all these forums, just total conspiracy theorist.
Oh, wow.
Like the worst of college football fans.
Oh, wow.
In my opinion.
So entertaining.
It's so wild. It's so funny. But nevertheless, the whole sign stealing thing, I don't know. I think it's trash. I think the NCAA, I mean, you have experience playing for NCAA, as do I. And they're just
the rules.
Wild.
I mean, this might be a hot take, but you know, when I play cards, I do not look at other people's decks. But like, if you have your cards out like this, I'm like, that's on you.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of feel like that was sign stealing. It's like, if you're going to make it obvious and I can pick up on it, that's on you.
Yeah.
And I mean, he compared it to the art of war. Like, truly, let's go there real quick. Football is war, as is any other sport. Like, you played softball, I played soccer. I remember we played UGA in a friendly game. And again, my parents hate UGA. If I ever wear anything, like if I went to Athens, Georgia, I'd probably be disowned. Like, just truly. And we played one of their teams in a friendly game. I was going to destroy them. There's literally a photo of me pushing this girl to the ground. Like
I have no doubt.
It was different. And that is what football is that times 1,000.
Yeah.
Especially when you've got the blood, the bad blood between art of
the
war.
rivalries.
But to your point, if you're going to have sorry, they hired someone, and Dave Portnoy, who I will stand behind Dave Portnoy, like if a train was coming at us, low key, he even was like, they're all just pissed because they wanted him on their team.
Well, they're all pissed because they're losing.
Right.
And it's like they suspended Jim Harbaugh, so he was out. Connor Stallions was out. And they were basically saying, okay, Michigan, prove to us that you're a winning team.
And
you're
they did.
the winningest team in history or whatever. And they did. And they crushed their last 3 games. They went on to win the championship. And, we're right back at it this fall with the beginning of college football season, and they're crushing it again. And they don't have either of those men.
Testament to the athletes. And that is what I want to say too, is he at the beginning had this speech from a former Michigan coach. Stallion, he had a speech he was talking about, and it's for the team, by the team.
Oh, yes. Love that.
Truly, the biggest disservice I think this created is taking away the effort, diligence, work, training that all of those players, because you can be really good at signing, and if you have a trash team, they're not going to win.
Make a difference.
So those boys and those athletes, kudos, you guys won the championship, you crushed it. Go celebrate again, because Problematic Women says yes, do it.
So we need to move on.
I love this passion, though. I love this passion.
to button this up.
Button it.
This season, they're bringing in-helmet communications, which is kind of what Kristen alluded to. So sign stealing seems like it's going to be a thing of the past anyway.
Irrelevant.
So, watch the documentary. Let us know what you think.
Yeah, we'd love to hear you guys sound off. Get caught up like I need to be.
Or let us know what your college football team is if you have one. Or your alma mater. Who are you proud of?
And we're definitely going to be talking more about college football, not because I'm on the show, but because we have Kristen.
Because we can't not.
We can't not. And NFL starts soon, which I'm more of an NFL fan.
Who's your team?
Patriots. Of
Oh,
course.
well,
Did you not know
obviously.
that?
I don't think I knew that.
That's the only football she talks about.
I mean, it's the end of the dynasty, though. So we had a great run. Anyway,
It's time to rebuild. You gotta
Don't
start
let
somewhere.
me go off on Tom Brady.
Did you watch the roast of Tom Brady?
No. Okay, I'll watch it.
You have some homework this weekend.
I know.
Anyways.
Congress, hard pivot.
Whoa.
Congress has homework. But, we were having this conversation yesterday about the craziness of budget season and Congress almost being back. They return, even though we're all back at work after Labor Day. Congress, they get a little bit longer. So they're going to be back next week.
Must be nice.
Must be nice. But if you think about how Congress operates around budget season, it's pretty much girl math. And I give you full credit, Crystal, for drawing this analogy. I was like, oh my gosh, it's so accurate. But, I'm so guilty of this. If you buy something with cash, it's actually free.
Of course.
I was on a farm in Pennsylvania this weekend. It was great. Shout out to farms in Pennsylvania. All farms in Pennsylvania. But they were selling fresh eggs and bought that in cash. So it was free. They had an ice cream shop in the little town that only sold their ice cream with cash. So use cash, and essentially that was free. If you use a coupon to buy something because you spent $100 and then you got a $20 coupon, well then that $20 free money.
Yeah.
If you set out to buy something that was $100 and surprise, it's on sale for $50, you saved money.
Well, can we talk about that? Because we just had Labor Day weekend, which is notorious for sales. And
what did you do?
Fully caved. But it's just one of those things where it's if you spend this much, you get a free full-size gift. And if you, there's tiers.
Yes.
And it's okay, well, I'm going to buy this stuff anyways.
Yeah.
So I might as well spend $350 on things that I don't really need right now to get the 4 other free full-size things.
Exactly.
Did you get all 4 of them?
To use.
And you might need those other things down the road. Did you buy
I know
a sofa?
I'm going to use them. What?
Did you buy a sofa?
No.
Oh, okay. There's
not talking about furniture.
Conversations.
It's skincare. I don't know.
Skincare.
I'm the worst.
Okay.
I also bought a new dress. It's fine.
It's great.
But
it's
my
great.
wallet hurts.
I
but
think
it's
another
fine.
one that I love too is if somebody pays you back for something,
Oh,
you
yeah.
make money.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes. 100%.
Which kind of feels like
Venmo
taxes.
is if someone Venmos you and you forget and a month later, you go and you're like, oh, I have to pay a friend on Venmo, and you have $20 in your Venmo.
Yeah, you're
free.
like, oh,
Free money.
Free money.
Same with my Starbucks gift card. I forget that I've auto-loaded it like months ahead of time. And I'm like, cool.
Starbucks is free.
Everyone gets a coffee.
So let's go ahead and roll clip one, because I just love how this girl explains what exactly girl math is. It's so accurate.
Girl math. I just went to the store and I was going to spend $130 some on a pair of Doc Martens. And I kept going, do I want them, but do I need them? So I'm in the store and I see a knockoff pair of like Doc Marten boots. And I put them on. I'm like, oh, okay, well these will do for what I need them to do. They were $50. So I only spent $50 on a pair of boots, and I was going to spend like $130 some. So I ended up buying other clothes and outfits to equal about $130, because in my head I didn't buy the Doc Martens, so since I got these boots at a cheaper price, I was able to get more items to complete the outfit and other outfit options. So I got more for my money. And it makes sense to me.
TJ Maxx, man. Nordstrom Rack.
It makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Like, you're saving money. This is girl math. I'm so guilty of this. I mean, some people bash it as like, guys, be more responsible. But you know what? At the end of the day, the most guilty party of girl math is Congress.
Amen.
Because Congress has not balanced the budget in over 2 decades. It's been 20 years since Congress has said, as a federal government, we're going to spend less than we're bringing in the door. So every single year, Congress sits down and they're like, all right, we need a budget. It's their job to pass 12 appropriations bills. That's just like essentially buckets of spending is the easiest way to think about that. And that doesn't even include, there's mandatory spending for Social Security and Medicare. That doesn't even touch that. That's just like automatic.
This is like all the extra
This is
stuff.
all the extra.
Yeah.
And
this is the
military
extra
spending.
skincare items that I didn't need, but that I will use maybe in like 8 months.
Exactly. But every year Congress is like, yeah, we're just going to girl math it again. And be like, I feel like in some ways it's like monopoly money to them.
Oh, I
100%.
mean, so I spent a very, very short time in the CFO's office at NASA. And I remember that the strategy behind like the presidential budget request and how they asked for money, it was just a guess, right? Obviously it's NASA, so it's totally worth it. Every single dollar we make, it was like a whole
questionable, Kristen, very questionable.
The Boeing astronauts are still in space, but it's fine. But yeah, no, it's exactly that, where it's kind of almost an estimate. You're not exactly sure. The responsibility there in spending and true knowledge of, you know, like when you budget and when you're like, I need this much for groceries, that's not the strategy here at all. It is monopoly.
It is truly monopoly. And this happens every single year. I just did a podcast interview on the Daily Signal podcast with Congressman Michael Cloud of Texas, and we talked about this. He's like, okay, so every year Congress comes back after Labor Day. They don't have a budget ready. The fiscal year ends on September 30th. And then the new fiscal year starts on October 1st. So that means Congress has like 3 weeks to get their act together and pass 12 bills. Congress is never
procrastinating.
Yeah, like, that's not going to happen, first off.
It's like the ADHD in me, though, is like, I love a good deadline.
Yes.
And I will also wait until the very last second to like really get it done.
And I think I would be fine with that if they did get it done by the deadline. But
or if they were responsible about it
and
turn in a good product.
Exactly.
But they never do.
They never do. And they're like, no, we're going to push this deadline. So they kick the can down the road with something called a CR, or continuing resolution, which is like, we're just going to keep funding the government while we figure it out and while we get ready to pass these budgets. And then you get to like right before Christmas and everyone wants to go home for Christmas. So then everyone's way more willing, because they're thinking about being with their families. They're way more willing to just be like, fine, we'll just pass it. Whatever it is, as horrible as it is, as crazy and wild, and all of the random things that are thrown in, which are called riders, like policy riders, because often these spending packages are like 1,000 pages. And on page like 532, you have like some weird policy that will, give hundreds of thousands of dollars to preserve frogs in a small town in California.
I was going to say, one of my favorite things that I look forward to every year is Senator Rand Paul's Festivus. And it's when he just goes to town on Twitter, like posting all of the insane programs that this pork money is going to.
Yeah.
And it's end of December every year. I look forward to it because he just sheds light on the most asinine things that the federal government is spending money on, like shrimp running on treadmills and like, just random stuff. You know,
Got to keep those shrimp
the
healthy,
mega
though.
threads.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think my favorite, which honestly is not even that bad, is the 1 year they were specifically planting American native plants on military bases. Like they had to be American or like from the state that base is in. And I was like, okay, I mean, this is wasteful, but like it's kind of productive wasteful. You know,
I
like,
hate that.
I don't hate it. But also like, no, if you can get.
But like, do I want my tax dollars going to that?
I don't even pay for stuff like that. Like,
well, it's like that's the time of year like that they just sneak in all their little pet projects or, whatever they've promised constituents back in their district.
Yeah.
That, they can get a sweet deal for them.
Well, and in this case, for this Congress, they are, trying to attach a rider that is a little bit contentious at this point. It's, in my opinion, the SAVE Act, that's what Speaker Johnson has been pushing as a nice little rider for this CR that's coming up. Continuing resolution. But this act requires individuals to provide proof of U.S. citizenship when registering to vote in federal elections.
Seems pretty normal.
I mean, it is illegal for non-Americans to vote in American elections. Yes.
And the idea, see what's so controversial about this.
I mean, I don't either. But that's the thing. The media, just like Stallions, he had all of the media drama. We're having all the media drama. And and it's, almost fact driven behind it. The justification that a lot of people who are for this bill are, why would I fund a government? Like, why would I pass funding if we're allowing people that aren't from this country to make decisions for, of those people making the decisions for funding? Fair. Totally get it. The other side is saying it's already illegal. It's already illegal, and what evidence? Well, I went on X. I went on Governor Abbott's,
Kristen's got the receipts.
Yeah, I've got some receipts. And for those of you maybe not aware, in Texas, 1.1 million ineligible voters were removed. Those were not all illegal immigrants. They were, some people that unfortunately passed away and were still on the voter rolls. So that's normal, calling the voter rolls. Yeah. Some moved. Very important, because in 2020, some people were, I'm not going to put a conspiracy theory hat on, but some people were accused of voting in multiple states. And then there were some illegal migrants that were on these voter rolls. In Virginia, go Glenn Youngkin, we love our governor. He found 6,303 non-citizens that were removed from voter rolls. So people might say that we don't need the SAVE Act. I'm going to let you guys decide.
Yeah. Well, and I think you have to think about how this works. Okay, you have someone that probably speaks very little English. They come in, they're trying to get, whatever paperwork documentation, and they're asked, do you want to register to vote? And they'll check a box like, sure,
why not?
Often they don't know. Yes, there certainly are those that are, have the intention
bad actors,
of doing
if you
bad
will.
actors, doing something illegal. But I would be willing to bet the majority of these, they just don't know. They're like, oh, well, I was asked if I wanted to register. Yeah, I'm here. I'd like to vote.
Sure, check box.
And so there need to be these safeguards really in place to make sure, okay, only U.S. citizens are voting, and this is so straightforward. It's so basic. It passed in the Republican-controlled House. Surprise, surprise, the Senate has not taken it up.
Ooh.
Well, and to caveat that, we love legal immigration.
Totally.
Yes.
Right? These are folks who are here illegally. They've already broken the law by coming here undocumented, not going through the normal channels, honestly skipping ahead of people who have been trying really hard, doing it the right way, really honorable. We love that. I actually, when I was driving in this morning, heard this new report from the Federation for American Immigration Reform that the cost of illegal immigration for the U.S. in 2023 was at least $150.7 billion. So
I wonder how much of that was in the CR.
It's kind of dumb. This is kind of expanding from the SAVE Act, right? But you also look at what's going on, for instance, in Colorado with these Venezuelan gangs, and they're taking over Aurora, like taking over hotels and apartment buildings in Aurora. It's really violent. Like, I watched some Instagram reel of a woman in that neighborhood who's like, I'm not pro-gun, I'm not anti-gun, but I just went and bought a gun because I am not safe in my community. Like, it's becoming completely out of control. And this is really like the perfect storm of the open border policy, sanctuary state policies, or sanctuary city policies as well. And then these, pro-crime prosecutors who are not enforcing laws and are not keeping our community safe. And at the end of the day, with the SAVE Act, it's like, this is just setting up safeguards where we're saying, if you're here illegally, or if you, have malintent against Americans, you shouldn't be voting in our elections.
You shouldn't even be here.
Yeah, first of all, you should. Yeah,
Shouldn't either.
You shouldn't-
certainly
should not vote.
Exactly. And that, I mean, going back to the Aurora example, that is just the tip of the iceberg. I mean, we've been seeing increases in violence in every major city. Most recently, now, there were several reports of Venezuelans doing the same exact thing in my home city of Chicago, the South Side, which already is struggling so much. I was listening to an interview this morning of a man that was from the area of Chicago that Venezuelans invaded. And there is some kind of drama behind the report. Some people are saying it was fake, but it does look very real. And I mean, they've already done it in Colorado where they've taken over an apartment complex. And now we're seeing that this might have also happened in the South Side of Chicago, which is mostly Black neighborhood, already struggling with, just keeping food on the table. And in this interview with this local, he was explaining, we've got a 15% literacy rate here, and it was an influx of 50,000 Venezuelan and illegal immigrants in general. They're getting cars. We're seeing them with brand new Jeeps and brand new, living in free, very nice housing that's nicer than his. They have brand new clothing, and our kids are suffering. We're suffering from the crime. So why wouldn't they come here? Honestly, we've defunded the police. We've allowed them to, vote for things that would perpetuate this behavior moving forward. And they get all this free stuff like girl math. Duh. I'm going to do that.
Yeah, no, I mean, you think about the fact that even among the U.S. population, there was a study out of the University of Georgia.
Okay. No one cares. I'm just kidding.
But it estimated that about 8% of U.S. citizens have some sort of felony record. So then you apply that if you were like, all right, well, it's probably somewhat maybe equal among the illegal aliens crossing our border, and you consider the fact that 10 million illegal aliens have arrived on the southern border since Biden took office.
That we know of.
And it's estimated based on information that Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas shared behind closed doors with Border Patrol agents that 85% were released then into the United States. So that's 8.5 million illegal aliens within the U.S. Well, then it's like, all right, well, if just in that amount, if you take 8% of that, well, that's hundreds of thousands potentially of criminals on our streets. And then that's not even adding the factors of, okay, these people do struggle to get jobs. They don't have a lot of money. They've already broken the law once by crossing the border illegally. So it just makes for this perfect storm of circumstances to say, yeah, we should not be surprised that there are criminals among illegal aliens. Are they all criminals? No. A concerning percentage? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm all about loving thy neighbor, but I mean, this morning, again, in Indiana, another place that I love, a 13-year-old or 12-year-old was stabbed by an illegal immigrant that just got off a train and decided, hey, I'm going to, do this. And now she was at a baseball game with other 12-year-olds. Like, it's just getting worse. That's not the America that I want people voting for. Those aren't the people I want voting for the future of my America. That 12-year-old deserves better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, just yesterday in Dallas, there was Venezuelan gang members that were beating people on the streets. Like, this is every city. Also, sorry, I'm so ADHD today. Like, my brain is all over the place. It's fine. The same, I can't remember the name of the gang off the top of my head, but the Aurora situation, the ties to Chicago, the same gang from Venezuela, the man who killed Laken Riley was a part of.
Yep.
So it's like, this is not just a New York, LA, San Francisco, like big coastal city issue. Like, now it's in Dallas. It's in Aurora, Colorado, which is like a beautiful suburb of Denver.
Yeah.
Like, generally sleepy, standard suburb type situation.
Everywhere.
Georgia, like everywhere. You can't, like, we're not escaping it. And I think Americans are finally waking up and just being like, oh my gosh,
this is a real problem.
What is going on?
And it's funny because Kamala Harris, border czar, whether she wants to admit it or not, has been bragging about being a DA in a border state. Honey, what happened? You opened the floodgates. Like, why are we bragging about that?
Yeah, I'm sorry. California is not the gold standard that we should aspire to.
But keep running on it. Let's point that out, guys. Share that with your problematic
she's in favor
women.
of a border wall now, right?
Yeah. So, is she tomorrow? She might not be.
Anyways, well, let's get to a little bit of variety and
Something
lighten things
lighter.
up a little bit.
Back to sports in a way.
Yeah, kind of back to sports. So Sports Illustrated did a bathing suit shoot with I can never say this, Ilona Omar.
Yeah, that was perfect.
I nailed it.
You got
Nailed
it.
The Olympic rugby player who like took the storm during the Olympics or is on social media.
Yeah.
She was awesome. Like her content was so great, but she did a kind of controversial swimsuit cover Sports Illustrated shoot, and the comments section is wild.
I believe
Like
that.
people are losing it. It's like 50-50, right? And if you see the pictures, like, yeah, they're a little
very,
saucy.
It's very sensual.
It's out there.
It's steamy. It's
yes.
steamy.
But it's the bathing suit shots for Sports
And it's-
Illustrated.
When
Yeah,
have they
it's
not
It is what
been?
it is.
Yeah.
It's always that way, right? But I think
always
what
steamy.
is so interesting about this is that a lot of folks are coming out saying, you know, oh, like she's fat, blah, 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 like all this negative nonsense. And then you have actually a lot of folks standing up and being like, hey, like,
This is what athletes look like.
this is what athletes look like, right? Like, generally speaking, as an athlete, recovered athlete, I don't know. If you look at the cover of Sports Illustrated magazine, historically, 9 times out of 10, those are not female bodies that are like representative of most women in America,
Yeah.
I would say. And
Or
especially
athletes.
athletes,
Yeah.
right?
Especially
They're like
athletes.
swimsuit models.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which,
Different training.
do your thing, girl. But like, that's not really reflective of what like you would assume Sports Illustrated would be representing. So hats off, I think, to Ilona Omar for doing the shoot and just saying like, I'm an athlete. I have broad shoulders. I lift heavy.
Yeah.
Like
Mhm.
kind of normalizing it. And I hate that word, but this like whole body positivity movement that's been really toxic for young women, especially,
Mhm.
right? Because it's like, oh, you either have to like starve yourself and be rail thin, or you're obese, and
Yeah.
like there's no in
Yeah.
between. And she's really stepping into that gap and just being like, no, like it's okay to be strong and athletic.
Right.
Yeah.
This is
She's
good.
redefining what it means to be in shape, fit, comfortable in your body. I remember when I was in high school, BMI was a huge thing, and
Mhm.
I was a soccer player, so my thighs were kind of big, you know, and I was technically not in the BMI range that I was supposed to be for my height and weight. And that was a little traumatizing, but now I'm like, no, I want to, you know, I eat all the protein, I eat all the, yeah, like
Lift all the
that's,
weights.
I'm proud of that. And I mean, I definitely am not as jacked as her. She's awesome. Like
Yeah.
she probably could kick my butt at anything, but you know, she makes me feel better about myself because, yeah, I complain all the time. I'm like, oh, my shoulders are too big. Or like
Yeah.
when I go to a gala in, you know, the gala season, when that's coming, I'm always like, oh, I need something to cover because I have like the little indent on my shoulder from like having muscle.
Because they're jacked.
Yeah, well, your words, not mine. But yeah, no, that's like something I've definitely struggled with.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm seeing her and I'm like, oh no, I see like
Yeah.
you're amazing, you're
Mhm.
beautiful, and you have the same thing as me. So I just think that's so cool. We're redefining what it means to, you know, be comfortable in our bodies. It's all
In a
about power
healthy
too.
way.
In a healthy way.
right?
way.
Because I feel like
Yeah.
the body positivity movement was like glamorizing
Being obese.
obesity, essentially. And like,
right.
like, oh my gosh,
Saying
remember the
it's
whole
okay to
Lizzo
not
thing
take
and everything.
care of
Like, it's
yourself.
okay to be
Yeah.
unhealthy and not take care of yourself. And this is her, like a good role model for young women, especially to look at and be like, no, it's okay to like work out, to be fit, to be athletic. Like, you're still beautiful. You're
Yeah.
strong. Like, it's not just defined to like being a runway model.
And some of her content has been about, you know, loving yourself so that you have a cheat meal or whatever, you
Yeah.
know, like not always eating the green smoothie into a protein shake into a salad. It's like,
Oh my
no,
gosh.
go get
if we talk
McDonald's.
about like punishing yourself with food, we'll be here all day.
But like, no, she's incredible. She has great content and she's beautiful.
hilarious.
Beautiful problematic woman.
She is a beautiful problematic woman. Well, if you want more amazing podcasts, and if you think, you know what, I love problematic women, but I want more news every single day, then the Daily Signal podcast has you covered. The Daily Signal podcast every day around 5 p.m. puts out about a 10-minute episode called Top News, where we're bringing you the top 5 or so headlines of the day. These are the stories that you need to know to stay informed on what's happening in our world. You can find the Daily Signal podcast and specifically our top news show across all podcast platforms. We also have an interview edition that comes out every weekday morning. It's about 20 minutes that dives deep into one policy issue. Like out this morning was my conversation with Congressman Michael Cloud talking about the budget and what on earth Congress is doing with the budget. So if you want to stay on top of all of the craziness and all the big policy issues and just the news of the day, then check out the Daily Signal podcast in your favorite podcast app. All right, it is game time.
I'm
Yay,
ready.
Something fun.
Yeah, something light. But
Kristen, what do you have queued up for us? Because I know you've been
Hard
putting
at
in work.
Yeah.
I've been putting in work. It's my favorite person. Just kidding. It's not my favorite person, but Kamala, the chameleon, truly. And again, I went and got the receipts, I think. I mean, this is literally pulled from her campaign's YouTube station. But what we've got today is a Who's Your Audience game.
Okay.
And so obviously, like, we're all in comms. You're obviously a reporter. You got to change your message depending on who you're talking to. You got to resonate with people in different ways. And we're going to do that. We're going to figure out who Kamala is trying to talk to based off of the clips that I have pulled.
I'm out here in these streets, and let me tell you, you're right, Taraji. There is so much at stake in this moment.
All right, so our first clip.
Here we go.
Everywhere I go, I tell people, look, you may not be a union member. You better thank a union member for the 5-day work week. You better thank a union member for sick leave. You better thank a union member for paid leave. You better thank a union member for vacation time.
All right, so obviously, union member is not going to be the answer here. We're going to go state.
Okay.
Ooh, for sure, Rust Belt.
Rust
There we go.
Belt. Either like Ohio, Michigan.
Michigan. Ding, ding, ding.
Michigan.
Ding, ding, ding. Good job.
All right.
We got Kamala in Michigan.
Kamala in Michigan.
All right. Okay, so that's 1 point for Virginia. Now we've got the next clip.
The freedom to learn and acknowledge our true and full history. And the freedom of a woman to make decisions about her own body and not have her government tell her what to do.
Okay,
She's
again.
in Georgia, 100%.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I feel like we just walked into like a Baptist sermon.
Tell
gone
her
wrong.
what
I was
to
gonna say
do.
Mississippi, so yeah, neighbors.
We were in Hot Atlanta. That was after Megan Thee Stallion opened for her.
ATL. Not surprising.
You know, like that Office episode where Andy's like, you were from Savannah, Georgia. It's like you're choking on a peanut. Like, that's literally what I heard in my head when she was saying that. Okay, so that is Georgia. We got 2, maybe 3 more, depending on how good you guys are.
Clip 4. Let's roll clip 4.
And you all helped us win in 2020, and we're going to do it again in 2024.
Oh, also very South.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
It's a little tricky.
I'm trying to think. What are other swing
Not
states
Georgia.
she would have been in? It can't.
I didn't say it wasn't Georgia.
I mean, there could be repeats, so it could
Yeah,
still
that's
be
true.
Georgia.
What do we win?
What do
by the
we
way,
win?
Pride and the good kind.
I'm gonna say North Carolina.
That's good.
You
I'm
know
going
what?
to go with Georgia.
It is Georgia.
Nice.
It is Georgia. Crystal's ahead.
Back
I'm
to
sorry.
back Georgias.
Not that there's a prize, but, you know,
There should be. There should be
bragging
prize.
rights. Okay.
Donald Trump, on the other hand, has been talking a big game about securing our border, but he does not walk the walk. Or as my friend Quavo would say, he does not walk it like he talks it.
Okay, so this one's going to be not a state, but like a demographic of people. So like urban, suburban. all of
Oh,
those.
definitely urban.
Yeah.
Definitely very urban. Inner city crowd, I would say.
I kind of gave it to Virginia. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
but now it's a
fair. But
tiebreaker.
where was that? Was that like Arizona or something?
That was Atlanta again.
Uh,
yeah, or sorry, Savannah. That was Savannah.
Oh, that was
Okay.
Savannah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, actually, no.
Okay.
This was Atlanta. The last one was Savannah. There's Atlanta,
Well,
Savannah.
lots of Georgia going
It's-
on here.
She
There's a
said
lot of
that this
Georgia.
was the
I
pathway
sense
to the
some
White House.
Bias.
I mean-
and the fact that you're like a Georgia girl.
I mean, Georgia Tech also
Sorry.
has really cool reports that they put out too. Just saying.
Okay. Well.
Okay, I might
right.
have to find a timestamp. This is okay. So this is for all the marbles.
All the marbles.
All the marbles, and it's
marbles.
gonna be a
Side.
little confusing. It's not necessarily from her campaign.
Okay.
So
I'm listening.
just
but
embrace
it's
it.
recent.
Is it when she says she wants to ban fracking?
It's not necessarily when. All right, ready? Here we go.
With us in government, we campaign with the plan. Uppercase T, uppercase P, the plan. And then the environment is such that we're expected to defend the plan. Even when the first time we roll it out, there may be some glitches and it's time to reevaluate and then do it again.
Okay, so that was
Gonna have a fully millennial moment here really quick. That entire the way she just
Yeah.
uses her words reminds me of that hilarious video from years ago where it's like, okay, fine, take a nap, but Zin fires the missiles. You know what I'm talking about?
What is that? What was that accent you just used?
It's from the video. It's like a
That's
French guy.
hilarious.
He's like, but I am late tired. He's like, okay,
She
fine.
goes like this a lot when she's doing it.
Take a
Le
nap.
plan.
And Zin fires the missiles.
This
like,
one is harder.
The plan.
Again, it's
I
not.
want to say
not
college
campaign.
students. Is she
Ooh.
speaking to college students?
No, this is
No.
gonna be like way out there.
Oh boy.
It's not from the campaign. Crystal, you were on to something.
Is she in office though while she was VP?
It was while she was VP.
While she
While
was
she's
think.
VP. I was onto something with take a nap and Zin fires the missiles. Oh, millennials?
No. What accent was that?
French?
Yeah.
Oh, is
She was in
overseas?
France?
She was in France. Yes. They
France?
were. I didn't
She was
say
in
they're
France.
they're from France.
That was her French accent.
But that was just my.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very
Right.
interesting.
Okay. Well, I
that
guess
was a
it's
rando
draw.
one, and yeah. No. I mean,
No, actually, that one is hilarious. The plan.
The
the
plan.
plan.
The plan
It was
is
just
a
my-
Venn diagram and a whole lot of nothing.
Oh
my gosh.
Well, I mean, in slight defense of Kamala Harris, I do definitely find myself like adjusting a little bit my accent, like so I'm from Boston, holla. But I went to high school down in Georgia. My brother-in-law is from South Carolina, and guys, I can sound really Southern when I get around a lot of Southern folks.
Do you sound like a preacher though, like a pastor
no,
like that?
No, I kind of turn into like a little Southern belle.
I love that. I don't have a problem with that.
No.
I think my problem with this is that she takes it too far.
Yeah.
And it's
It
so
feels
intentional.
forced.
It feels forced.
Mhm.
Yeah. It's
Mhm.
not like, oh yeah, I've been in, Texas or in Georgia or wherever for,
Yeah.
a few weeks and some of their lingo, it's like just
Yeah.
rubbing off on me. Like,
Yeah.
The
It's written in the speeches.
cadence and this and whatever. It's like, I'm sure in her written speech, there's like emphasis
Yeah.
on certain things. And it's
Yeah.
just, it doesn't feel natural.
It does not.
And maybe she's been working on delivering speeches in different ways. Like maybe she's trying to be RFK. She goes like this a lot now too. And I'm like, okay. Or JFK, not RFK. And I'm like, okay, maybe we're trying something else. But yeah,
She's
no.
working with the Obamas now.
Oh, yeah.
That actually makes sense.
Boom, boom.
Boom,
Boom, boom.
Well, guys, we have loved being back with video. It's been so fun to be here on video. And now that we're on video, people are leaving us comments on YouTube. So first off, thank you to all of those who've been commenting and leaving us ratings and reviews. Shout out, if you leave us a rating or review, we'll probably read it here on the show. So some of the comments on last week's show on YouTube were just very, very funny. So Bright Eyes 2133 wrote, "Real ladies are classy," which I take to say you're saying we're classy. So.
We're very demure.
Very demure.
Very mindful.
Coming back full circle. Clarence J. Boddicker, 1987, wrote competent. So thank you.
Love that.
Again, I'm taking that as you're saying we're competent. So I'm just going to receive that one. Thanks so much.
This one's my favorite.
Journeyman 66 wants to know, can a guy apply to marry one of you? Question mark. Well, Journeyman, we do not have a working application right now. Maybe we'll work on that.
There could be one.
There could be
to
one.
be decided.
Probably not.
Crystal's like, what?
But
I mean, I would just be curious to read the application.
I would
love
be
it.
very
I
curious
love
to
it.
read the
Like, what's
application.
Shoot your
there?
shot.
What questions would you guys ask on an application? What would be one question you'd put on an application?
What's your earliest childhood memory?
Really? That would be on an application for
Ooh.
marriage.
Yeah.
Why is that so important?
Because it tells you everything you need to know about what kind of trauma they have and what's
always
going to
the
come up
childhood
in your
trauma.
relationship.
Wow, that's interesting.
Mhm.
Well, now I want to know what your earliest childhood memory is, but that feels... Tell me all your trauma,
later.
Crystal.
Are we in therapy now? Because
Surprise,
Maybe.
surprise. All right, one more. Kim Squires, 7140, writes, yes. Okay, so she was clarifying, and this was good. She was clarifying when we talked about RFK, because we said he dropped out, and I guess the technical term suspended their
Yes.
campaign. So thanks
for the fact
we
check.
appreciate the fact check.
Yeah.
Always welcome those. Said, but nice talk. Keep up the good work. Well, thank you, Kim.
Thanks,
we
Kim.
appreciate your feedback. And like I said, leave us ratings, leave us reviews. We love seeing y'all's feedback. And if you do give us a comment, we'll be sure to read it here on the show.
Beautiful. All right, let's have a little fun. Let's close this thing out with a bang and do a couple of non-political questions.
Ooh, okay, here we go.
So I've been so excited for this one. So what are your Mount Rushmores of TV shows? So your top 4, like what's on your Mount Rushmore for TV shows?
Characters then. Like people's faces or just like the shows?
Shows.
Oh, the shows. Oh. Much easier.
Don't overthink it. It's not hard.
Yeah.
My number 1 is Chuck.
Okay.
Have you all seen this TV show?
No.
It was really big in like early-ish 2000s.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very sweet show that has a little bit of everything. It has action and adventure and a great romance. Classic TV show that like goes strong for, I think they went strong for like 6 seasons, messed it all up in the ending, real angry about that. But the show as a whole is beautiful, and it's Zachary Levi stars in it. And it is, a long story short, in a nutshell, about a spy, a normal man who has a supercomputer accidentally downloaded into his brain and becomes a spy. And it is...
That's casual.
Cute and funny, but it's not, though. Like, they had a lot of humor. So it's a very cute show. I'm a little biased because it was the first show I ever got, like, super into and fully committed to. So that one for sure. The new... PBS version of All Creatures Great and Small.
Aw,
it's
cute.
like the Swedish show and makes me want to go be a farmer in Scotland. So it's just very, very sweet, beautiful story. Okay, what else? I've done 2. Let me put it to you.
I've been thinking. Okay, so obviously The Office.
Yeah.
That's like my comfort.
That's mine for sure.
Yeah.
Michael Scott. I've quoted them a million times on this show.
Oh my gosh.
And
Classic.
this is gonna totally give everyone my personality, but the Gilmore Girls, obviously.
Yeah.
It's fall. I'm about to start season 1. Pour myself a pumpkin spice latte and go to Luke's.
Rewatch season 1.
Oh yeah,
of course,
for the 20th time,
as one does,
and show up at Luke's Diner. Yeah. So I'd say those are my first 2.
A Luke's Diner in their life.
Oh, dude, I've tried. Panera used to be. It wasn't the same.
No, that's not the same at all. That is
way
not the
too
same.
corporate.
But it was a
Kristen,
place
come on.
I went to every single day for coffee. It was awesome.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
She had her little routine.
I did.
For a while.
It became
How cute.
stressful, but
Okay, let's see. My top number 1 for sure is the show Friday Night Lights.
Okay.
Love Taylor
yeah.
Kish. Like, love. And it's like cult classic. Again, kind of a fall football season. We're back. It's time to rewatch again. But it's just like so wholesome and I love it. And the Texas tie. It's just, you can't beat it. And like we need a Coach Taylor in America,
100%.
like desperately. Like everyone needs a Coach Taylor in their life. So that's definitely my top. And then I would say, you already said The Office. That's definitely on my Mount Rushmore. And then I would say Friends. I love Friends. It's good, just like background noise.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know, I've seen it so many times that I don't need to like be clued into every episode, but it's just, you know, lighthearted and fun.
I actually haven't seen Friends all the way through. I've
Really?
watched like
I
individual
haven't either.
episodes,
Yeah,
like picked
same.
them up, but I've
my
watched
gosh.
like maybe
Watched all the way
5
through.
total all the way through. I know. Isn't that weird?
Wow.
Maybe this fall.
What about
Gilmore
more
Girls.
modern? Like what's a recent one that you would put on
Oh,
your...
The Crown. I was going to say The Crown
Oh,
next.
The Crown
Freaking
is
love The
great.
Crown. And
Crown
also,
is so well done.
right? Like it's so interesting.
It is a fantastic show. And let's see, more recent, Chernobyl.
Ooh.
I love that series.
Very good. Short mini series from HBO Max. Fantastic. Just the production quality.
It's really
was out of this world.
intense,
It's so
but it's
intense.
really good.
You do have to know what you're getting into. Like, it is not a light watch. Everything that could possibly be intense, and like when you think of like the worst of humanity, welcome to Chernobyl.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's a good one.
but
Yeah.
so well done.
Yeah.
So well done.
Very
Yeah,
intense.
would
I did
watch
love
it
that one.
again, even given its intensity, just because you're like, I think the human side of it is very fascinating. Of how do people behave in life and death situations on a massive scale? Like what comes out of humanity?
Yeah.
Is very fascinating.
Definitely recommend that one.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's on my Mount Rushmore, but it's up there.
Yeah.
Definitely top 10.
Lighter for my final would be Parks and Rec.
Yes.
Hard pivot.
Hard pivot. Just so funny. Ron Swanson.
I have to
My
do the
gosh.
classic book girly thing and say something like Game of Thrones is on my
I was
Mount
going to say,
Rushmore.
why haven't we said that yet? Yeah.
You know, I have not watched Game of Thrones yet.
Ooh.
I
I
don't
will
think
watch
you
it
would
one
enjoy
day.
it, but
I was gonna say
So
something tells me
here's my thing. I say I'm gonna watch it with my husband when I get married
okay.
because it
Cute.
feels real steamy, and I'm
It's
like,
just it's a lot.
it's a lot.
It's a lot, and
It's a
it's an
lot.
investment. Like
Yeah.
there's a lot going on. There's a lot of characters. If you haven't read the books,
it's
it could be
bratty
overwhelming.
too. It's not demure, you know, like it's
It's grunge.
yeah,
brat.
it's grunge.
It's grunge.
Game of Thrones is brat.
But like if and when you do start Game of Thrones, like you're in
Yeah.
Yeah.
because it's a whole world. I mean,
Yeah.
that's kind of like if you read fantasy or like high fiction or high fantasy fiction, like Game of Thrones and those types of books. Once you start one book, there's like a billion,
Yeah.
and then there's like the side worlds and the
Oh,
prequels and
boy.
the this, that, and the other thing. So it's like once you start, there's really no going
It's
back.
like
so
Yeah.
Lord of the Rings on steroids.
yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Also great series,
Oh my
but
God.
those are movies. So.
Yeah, those are
are-
movies. Whole
yeah.
other category. That's next week.
Anyways, okay.
Kristen?
Oh, do you have your final?
I'm trying to think. You go first.
I did.
Oh, you
I said
did?
Game of Thrones is my final.
Oh, Game of Thrones
It's
is your
all
final?
you. It's all
Oh,
you,
crap.
Kristen.
Well, Kristen
TikTok.
thinks. I think if you're listening to this and you have a Mount Rushmore of TV shows, like
Yeah.
what are we
Let us
missing?
know.
Drop those in the comments.
Yep.
Let us know what we're missing, what we need to catch up
I'll
on.
put that on our IG story as well.
Yeah.
You know,
Love that.
I am going to go House of Cards for my last
Ooh.
one because I wouldn't have probably cared at all about politics. I think I've told you guys, like, it was an accident, me falling into my, like, little role at NASA. I don't think I would have been cool with DC without seeing that first.
Really?
I know. It's kind of
That was
weird.
the gateway drug.
Perhaps.
Not Veep.
No, not Veep. Although I need to see that now, that
Wait,
Kamala.
you haven't watched Veep?
No, I
Oh my
know, I
gosh,
haven't.
You would love it.
Yeah,
It's
I watched
hilarious.
Gilmore Girls 20 times. I haven't
Another
seen Veep.
great gateway into politics is Madam Secretary.
Madam
And
Secretary is
until
great. I
it
love that
went
show.
woke. Like the first
Yeah.
few seasons were great, and then it's like, all right,
It gets
stop
weird.
virtue signaling,
Yeah.
please.
Yeah.
But the beginning is like, okay, again, not practical, and that
Mhm.
sometimes I have trouble living in DC. What was it? Lone Survivor.
Lone Survivor.
Mm.
I could not keep watching that because I was like, this is so unrealistic.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
I just can't.
I'm surprised no one said Grey's Anatomy. I don't know why. I guess it makes
Oh.
sense because none of us are interested in medical things at all.
Yeah.
But I
Man,
never
that
watched
show
it.
had-
Or like House.
But it's on, like,
CSI. I don't know.
My greatest
CI,
memory with
yeah.
Grey's Anatomy was my sophomore biology teacher loved that show, and another girl in the class loved it. And her name was Andrea, and Andrea would always try and distract our biology teacher by bringing it up.
Oh, that's
and
funny.
just totally derail the lesson. And 9 times out of 10, it worked.
And that's my
awesome.
role on this show. So, final question before we put a button on this episode. I'm curious. This is getting a little more intense.
Ooh.
Uh-oh.
What
Here we go.
motivates you?
What mood?
Oh.
Two options. The thrill of victory or the agony of defeat.
That's so intense.
Oh.
Uh,
Definitely the thrill of victory for
Yeah.
me. Like,
Really?
I'm such an endorphin chaser. I mean, that's why I work out every day. And when I don't, I'm like, what is happening with my body right now?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely. Not to, go back to 2020 or anything, but I was so stoked. And like, that's what's been keeping me going now that Trump officially is our candidate, like he kind of has been. But 2024, I'm like, let's go. Let's like game time. Let's get it. November is, 2 months away, less than 8 weeks.
She wants to win.
I want to win and
gonna
can't wait
deserve
to, make America great again. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say that.
What about
but-
you, Virginia?
I think probably to a lesser degree, I would answer the same. I think that the knowledge of defeat and how painful defeat is like in the back of my mind.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the emotion that comes with the high of winning is a much stronger motivator for me.
Why were you so surprised?
I'm a agony of defeat kind of
Okay.
person. Like I hate losing
Yeah.
Okay.
way more than I love winning.
That's very fair.
If that makes sense.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Like the idea of losing just can't do it. That's
I
like
have a little
understand
spectrum
that.
here, like
Yeah,
winning,
I
a
feel
little bit of
kinda
both.
middle.
yeah.
Yeah.
But it's like for me, like that's why I work out every day because I want to win every day, but I more so don't want to lose every day. Does that make sense?
Fair.
Yeah.
That is
So that's
very
what drives me.
fair. Oh, I love that.
Anyways,
All
I
right.
like
Fun
that
stuff.
question.
Fun
That was
stuff.
I think that's a wrap, ladies. I think we did
yeah.
it.
All right, we did it.
good. Season 2,
Thank-
episode
season
2.
Wow. Fast forward. Well, join us next Wednesday again for our live show. And of course, remember you can get our show across podcast platforms on Thursday morning, wherever you like to listen as well.
Yeah, you can catch us on YouTube, Rumble, find us on X, Instagram for now. And at 3 p.m. on Wednesdays, that's when we are live streaming. But you can catch us on any podcast platform Thursday mornings.
Yeah, and make sure you hit the subscribe button if you're listening via podcast, or make sure you're following the Daily Signal YouTube channel and Rumble channels if you like joining us live. And again, leave us those shout outs, leave us those comments. We want to know what you think about the show, and we want to give you a shout out here on this show. Have a great rest of your week.
Cheers.
Cheers. Oh, should we do a final?
Cheers.
Do a final. Stay classy.
Stay demure.
Stay demure.
Stay demure.